Sì, perché non ti sono riuscito non riuscito a fare fare da cacciare. Pastor says, it's about this. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Ananda Gaudiya Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Shankarasa Gaur ki jai. Compound Prabhupada ki jai. Take over Nandi. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Prescribed Duties for Mankind, Chapter 5, Narada Muni, Cursed by Prajampati Daksha, Chapter 26. So, Shem, Vini, Japanto Brahma Paramam, Te Puspotra Mahantapam, Tai Upasarvashna, Tadam, Vini, Dhamavashayam, Japanto Brahma Paramam, Te Puspatra Mahantapam, Tadupasparsha, Deva. Vinirudutta Malashya Japanto Brahma Parama Te Pusta Mahatava. Any great things I can repeat their
It would be an honor. Upasparshanad eva vinirduta malashaya japanto brahma paramam tepustatra mahatapaha.
Thank you. Anyone else? Place. Upasparshan. Upaspar. By bathing regularly in the water. A in deep. Vinirudutta. Completely purified. Malash. Of all the dirt within the water. Within the heart. Chanting or remembering. Great. The second group. The sun performed penances in the
You're muted, my Leela. We can't hear you.
Don't worry, here I am. The Zoom just cut out. Translation. Second of sons. Genesis in the same way as the first. They bathed in the holy water, and by its touch, all of their desires in their hearts were cleansed away. They murmured mantras beginning with Omkara and underwent severe courses of austerities. Every Vedic mantra is called Brahma because each mantra is preceded by the Brahmashkara, Om or Omkara. For example, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Lord Krishna says, Pranava Sarva Vedesha. In all Vedic mantras, I am represented by Pranava or Omkara. Thus of chanting the Vedic mantras beginning with Omkara is directly chanting Krishna's name. There is no difference whether one chants Omkara or addresses the Lord as Krishna. The meaning is the same. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has recommended that in this age one chant the Hare Krishna. Although there is no difference between Hare Krishna and the Vedic mantras beginning with Omkara, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the leader of the spiritual movement of this age, has recommended that one chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama. Again Timirandasya Ganandana Shalakaya Chakshunamidanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manavishta Stavitani Sakaya Padanti Swarantikam Vande Ram Shri Takama Shri Vaishnavanscha Shri Vansargajantam Sam Advaitam Sarvaditam Parijanasehitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Param Sadhanalatam Shri Vishwakam Vidam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagapate Krishna Komika Kanti Stiti Tatta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Shri Vrishabhanu Siddhi Pranamani Hari Priye Panchagavatarungyascha Vipas Devacha Patitana Vaishnadevi Jayanti Krishna Chaitanya Prabhupada Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vatsari Gauravinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare. Translation once again at Narayana shrines, the second group of sons performed penances in the same way as the first. They bathed in the holy water, and by its touch all dirty material desires in their hearts were cleansed away. They murmured mantras beginning with Omkara and underwent a severe course of austerities. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thanks for coming to the Srimad Bhagavatam last day. We are appreciating your presence. So, okay, I still can't see myself, but I'm assuming I haven't disappeared. If I can see my icon is something is talking. So today's verse and purport are quite nice. We're at the part of Bhagavatam now where Daksha is having his second group of sons. So his first group of sons the Haryashvas. So yeah, they were Narada Muni came and he liberated all of them. as we were hearing in all those previous verses with the Kamaset come here, that where he's just giving different analogies and then he's saying like what is the use basically of engaging the two entities. So yeah, so this first batch of sons they compile. Yeah, so that first batch of sons, they all became liberated. So Daksha was lamenting like anything for the loss of his children, although his children were not lost, they just became pure devotees. But because they weren't performing the materialistic instructions that their father gave them, it was a loss for Daksha, for Jeffrey Daksha. So then he got another batch of sons and his wife, Pachan, known as Shalabashas. Salabashas. So yeah, this is another batch of 1,000, and they did the same thing as their previous brothers. They went to the same Narayanasharas, like sacred area. They went through the same process of bathing. They bathed in the holy water. They cleaned their heart of all like old dirty things, which of course probably not much in there anyways, seeing as their birth is born by their father and they just right away went to theirs. Henceforth, Narada Muni says his one liner that we'll read in the next verses as Bhagavatam class progresses. He gives just like a one liner, and the sons immediately get it and they just follow that path, become liberated. And then we'll hear later how in this chapter Narada Muni is cursed by Rajapati Daksha. But now, yeah, we're just hearing about how the second batch of sons, they're going to this holy pilgrimage area and they're performing these austerities to cleanse their heart of all material desires, which, of course, seeing as they so easily took to the instructions of Narada Muni. But yeah, their austerities are pretty significant, as we'll read about. They only drink water for like a little bit of water, and they only eat air. Yeah, so this way they purify their mind. But as Srila Prabhupada is saying in the purport, we can also purify our mind by chanting Hare Krishna. And he's we're hearing about the importance of chanting Omkar. Omkar is like before you chant the mantras, you chant Om, and then you proceed to say the mantras. That way, Krishna is present. So like Om Bhakti Vasudevaya. So many mantras like that. We start off by saying Om before we chant. And there's this one devotee in Wellington, he chants his rounds before he starts chanting each round. He'll say, Om Hare Krishna. He's a yoga star. He's a yoga teacher. So he's like studied a bunch of his teachings. He does like that. So anyways, I wanted to read a bit today from 12th Canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, about the symptoms of Kali Yuga. Because sometimes I wanted to get inspiration from, of course, those who are really pure in their practices of devotion and service, like so many of us, so many of you guys who are in Zoom, and sincerely like just generally attracted to Krishna and feeling that separation. It's probably quite easy to chant Hare Krishna because yeah, you actually like it and you have taste. You want to chant Hare Krishna. You love chanting Hare Krishna. And that's a stage that I really hope I get to. But for myself, currently, I'm in the waves of the modes of passion and ignorance. So the desire to chant Hare Krishna and perform activities with goodness and to persuade myself that it's actually a really good idea. So one way to become encouraged, realizing that chanting Hare Krishna is actually the best thing that we can do for ourselves, is to hear about the negative aspects of Kali Yuga and basically what like our future is going to look like if we hang around, if we decide to take birth again in the material world and not try to open Godhead in this lifetime, what we've got coming for us. So yeah, there's this really nice part of the 12th canto, sentence of Kali Yuga. And I'll just read a couple of verses. Srila Prabhupada gives these really like in-depth, nice purports on each text, but in order to save time, so I want to speak about some other things today too. I'll just share the translations. So, this text one, I'll just read like 10 of them. Okay, so Srila Goswami saying, what's translating? Shukadeva Goswami said, then, O king, religion, truth, cleanliness, tolerance, mercy, duration of life, strength, and memory all diminish day by day because of the powerful influence of the age of Kali. In Kali Yuga, wealth alone will be considered a sign of a man's good birth. Proper behavior and fine qualities, and law and justice will be applied only on the basis of its power. Men and women will live together merely because of superficial attraction, and success in business will depend on deceit. Womanliness and manliness will be judged according to one's expertise in sex, and a man will be known as a brahmana just by wearing his thread. A person's spiritual position will be ascertained merely according to his eternal symbol. On that same bias, people will change from one spiritual order to the next. A person's property will be seriously questioned if he does not earn a good living, and one who is very clever at judging words will be considered a learned scholar. A person will be judged unholy if he does not have money, and hypocrisy will be accepted as virtue. Marriage will be arranged simply by verbal agreement, and a person will think he is fit to appear in public if he is merely being in a vow. A sacred place will be taken to constitute of no more. A sacred place will be taken to consist of no more than a reservoir of water, located at a distance, and beauty will be thought to depend on one's hairstyle. Filling the belly will become the goal of life, and one who is audacious will be accepted as truthful. He can maintain a family will be regarded as an expert man, and principles of religion will be observed only for the sake of reputation. As the earth becomes crowded with a corrupt population, whoever among the social class shows himself to be the strongest will gain power. Losing their wives and prosperity to such avaricious and merciless rulers who will behave no better than ordinary thieves. The citizens flee to the mountains and forests. And you do not agree. It doesn't say that in here, but that's my speculation. Harassed by famine and excess taxes, people will resort to eating leaves, roots, flesh, wild honey, fruits, flowers, and seeds. Struck by drought, they will become completely ruined. The citizens will suffer from cold, wind, heat, rain, and snow. They will be further tormented by quarrels, hunger, thirst, disease, and severe anxiety. The maximum duration of human beings in Kali Yuga will become 15 years. By the time the age of Kali ends, the bodies of all creatures will be greatly reduced in size, and the religious principles of the followers of Varnashram will be ruined. The path of the Vedas will be completely forgotten in human society, and so-called religion will be mostly atheistic. The kings will mostly be thieves. The occupation of men will be stealing, lying, and needless violence, and all the social classes will be reduced to the lowest level. Cows will be like goats. Spiritual hermitages will be no different from mundane houses, and family ties will extend to no further than the immediate bonds of marriage. Most plants and herbs will be tiny, and old trees will appear like dwarfless, shelly trees. Clouds will be full of lightning, homes will be devoid of piety, and all human beings will have become like asses. At that time, the Supreme Personality of God will appear on earth, acting like the power of pure spiritual beings, who will rescue eternal religion. So then these next two verses just talk about Kalki, which I like to read as well because that the first couple of verses, it's nice to hear about the Supreme Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of God and the Spiritual Master of all moving and non-moving beings, and the Supreme Soul of all who takes birth to protect the principles of religion and to relieve his saintly devotees from their actions to work. Lord Kalki will appear in the home of the most eminent brahmanas of Shapala village, the great soul Vishnu Yasha. Lord Kalki, the Lord of the universe, will mount his swift horse Devadatta, and sword in hand travel all over the earth, exhibiting his 8 mystic opulences, the 8 special qualities of Godhead, displaying his unequal effulgence and riding with great speed. He will kill by the millions those thieves who have dared dress as kings. All the impostor kings have been killed. Residents of the cities and towns will feel the breezes carry the most sacred fragrance of their sandalwood paste and other decorations of virtuosity, and their mind will thereby become transcendently pure. And then after that, the age of Satyuga will begin, and human society will bring forth progeny. So yeah, we don't want to stick around basically for the end of Kali Yuga. Of course, it's if you get killed by Kalki, that's very auspicious, just like any sinful person that gets killed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, gets liberated. But we don't want that. We don't want to hang around for all of those atrocities of the Kali Yuga to experience what that will actually be like. Of course, we're already experiencing some of it, like people who have the most money and are most powerful, they become people who are in charge of the world. People who can influence others the best, they can become the most powerful living entities. They can become the ones who rule everything just based on their wealth and power and prestige, not based on their qualities. Having, long nails and the coolest hairstyle is considered to be like a sign of beauty, which, is very different from, I'm sure, how it was in the Vedic times, where these things are actually considered like very bougie. Like hair is basically just like crystallized stool, and nails are just like, places where, they're just very gross, like places where dirt and all sorts of bacteria gets kept underneath them. But now it's considered a sign of beauty. So yes, we don't want to stick around for Kali Yuga to see what that's going to come out like. We want to take shelter of, our only way out, which is, as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Harinama Eva Kevalam. There's no other way but by chanting the holy names. There's no other way, there's no other way, there's no other way. And I was listening to this lecture, and they were sharing this cool story, which I've heard before, of Srimad Bhagavatam. I couldn't find it from Bhagavatam. I was just listening to the lecture, and they were describing it, where the Pandavas, they were asking Lord Krishna about the effects of the age of Kali, what Kali would look like when the age of Kali Yuga came. And so Krishna was like, okay, I'll describe it to you. So he took up 4 arrows, he shot these arrows in different directions. And then, and then 4 of the brothers. So Arjuna went in one direction, and he collected the arrow. And as he collected the arrow, he heard this really sweet, like, singing. So he's like, oh, what is that sweet sound? And he looked around and he saw this beautiful cuckoo bird. It was singing so sweetly that as it was singing, it was also eating like the flesh of a live rabbit. So he was really disgusted, and he quickly left that place. And then Bhima, he went to collect an arrow, and where the arrow was lying was in this area, this cleared out area where there were 5 wells, and 4 wells that were around, on the outside of 1 well in the middle. There's 1 well in the middle and 4 on the outside. and the four rounds on the outside were like overflowing with this like sweet smelling water. Almost like they just couldn't take even a drop more. They were just completely overflowing and spilling everywhere. With this like very sweet, smelling aroma of this water. But the well in the middle was completely empty. So Bhima was really puzzled by the situation, and he took the care when he returned. And then Nakula found an arrow when he saw this beautiful cow and had just given birth to a calf. And he saw the calf and the arrow, he picked it up, and the mother cow was licking the calf until it was clean. But then it continued licking it, just repetitively with its tongue. And only by like great force did some people end up separating the calf from the mother cow. This time the calf was very injured by the cow had repetitively licked it until it was hurting the cow's skin. So Nakula was very disturbed by this because this cow is usually such a gentle creature. And he also returned with this arrow. And then Sahadev collected an arrow from the bottom of a mountain where he saw this great boulder was like rushing, was falling down the mountain. And as it was falling, it was like taking out these huge trees. It was knocking everything out of its way. But then it was stopped by this small little creeper. A small plant that had stopped the boulder from rolling down the mountain. So Sahadev was like a little bewildered as well, and he also returned this arrow to Lord Krishna. So when all the brothers returned, they asked Krishna to explain to them the meanings behind all of these things that they had seen. And Lord Krishna explained to Arjuna the arrow that he had found. He says that, yes, so in the age of Kali, there'll be great men who are posing themselves as great leaders, and they will speak, but the way that they will speak, just like the cuckoo bird looks very beautiful and he's speaking very sweetly. So these great men, they will be in such positions of power and they will speak so sweetly to attract many people. Actually, their words will just lead to deceit. These people will just be fooled by them and end up becoming hurt. And we can see that today. There's men who are in great positions of power, and women too who are in great positions of power, and they're speaking so sweetly to try to attract people to what they're saying. But actually, their words will end up just leading to deceit, and people will become hurt by their words. And we can see this, especially in politics. I don't get too involved in politics, but just a little bit that I was hearing the other day was, you can see, people, they just say so many nice things to really captivate people. And some people are very excellent at the way that they can speak. And they can really captivate an entire crowd and really win people over. Because these people are not devotees, we know that actually it doesn't matter what they say, whatever their words are, they're actually just shallow. They're not actually able to help anybody with their real problems. So this is just like a cuckoo bird eating the flesh of a live rabbit. And then, so to Bhima, he said, so these wells that you saw, the four wells are flooding with like a sweet aroma, but the middle well is empty. It's just like how in California there are many people who are actually very wealthy and they're very rich. They have so much money, and they have money that is just actually overflowing. But there'll be people who are so poor that they have nothing, and not a drop of these people's wealth will actually go into this well. So although these people have so much money, they're actually not using it properly, and they're not sharing with people who have nothing. And then to Nakula, so that he was giving the example of the cow and the calf, is that Lord Krishna is saying, this will just be like parents in Kali Yuga, that they'll love their children so much, their children will take complete priority over everything in their lives, which we can see, but also is not there as well. Nowadays, that they'll love their children so much that they'll end up actually hurting their children by spoiling them too much. They'll give them so much love, they'll give them so much attention, they'll give them whatever they need, that it'll actually cause damage to the child. So it'll actually hurt them, just like that mother cow was licking the child so much, showing them so much affection, that it ended up hurting the calf's skin. And then Sahadev Sahadev saw this boulder and it was running down a mountain, or rolling down a mountain. It was destroying these huge trees, knocking out everything in its way, stopped by a small creeper. So Lord Krishna explains, yes, this is like the life of the living entity in Kali Yuga, is that it is rolling to their doom, basically, rolling down this mountain to their doom, to be crushed. And these trees, they represent their family members, their friends, people in society who might try and help them. Nothing can help this boulder that is destined for like the hellish planet, just rolling straight down. The only thing that will stop is this small creeper, and this is the holy names of the Lord. So just by chanting these holy names, or by hearing them, or by reciting them, then this will be able to stop the downward spiral living entity. So yeah, I thought this was quite nice, especially in relationship to today's class. It's all about the importance of chanting Hare Krishna. And yeah, how chanting is left directly for us by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That chanting holy name. And I remember hearing in a lecture by one of his David Minister on me maybe a year or two ago in New Zealand, he was describing the different names of Krishna, the different names of God, how there are primary names, there's secondary names, and there's like third-tier names. There's different categories of names of God, and none of them are different from Krishna. They're all different names, just like, even like I can say I'm just one very small living entity. There's different names that I have that different people know me by for different reasons, and they all have a different level of intimacy with me as a person. So, like, my spiritual name is Maripan Lina. Some people call me Madhu. So those are two different names. I have my birth name. Um, then I have, my birth name is Anikea. Then I have my, they used to call me Kea. I had a coach in high school that called me Jackson. My parents called me Pumpkin when I was a kid because they had a really big head. So there's different, like, names. That's just like 7 different names for just one small living entity. And these different names have different, like, intimacy. Like, for example, if I was, walking down one of the roads in Nagari and someone called me by my birth name, I'd be like, oh, who is that? Because that's a name that's unique, known me before I got initiated. So in that way, it's like, has a different level. So in the same way, Krishna is unlimited. He's an unlimited person. He's the original person. He has unlimited potencies. So he also has unlimited names. And so yeah, when people are from different religions, they're addressing God by like a different name, like Allah, or just God as a name, or Jehovah, or whatever. They're not wrong. They're just different names of addressing the supreme soul, the supreme source of energy. But within them, there's names that are more intimate, like as long as different music was explaining, like Govinda, Gopita Vallabha, Radharaman, Krishna, Gopinath. These are names that like have a more intimate potency. So just like when we call Krishna, we call out to Krishna, and with using one of these names, then it's like you're addressing somebody in a more intimate way. Like, just like, you might have a name, like a nickname you call your partner or your friend, and it's kind of like just personal between you two. So in the same way, when we call out to Krishna and we call him out in one of his personal names, it kind of like sparks interest, like, oh, you know me personally, like how do you know that name? Whereas if we say a more generic name like God, or like the Holy Spirit, it's like, oh yeah, like that's there, but it's more of like a general terminology. So it's not as sweet, basically. So Lord Chaitanya, who is Krishna himself, as the incarnation next to Srimad Radharani, who's Krishna's beloved potency, they come together and they form Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And him, in his most merciful incarnation, is giving out Krishna's most intimate name and Srimad Radharani also in the same mantra together as the Hare Krishna mantra, giving them out and using Rama as well, which his own Swami explains that as you go through, like in the journey of bhakti, basically, you might start off thinking that Rama means Balaram, but as you go further, you'll put the connection, like another meaning of Rama is Radha Raman, which is what Krishna's intimate names. So yeah, Lord Chaitanya is personally giving this to like the most degraded living entity. I was just listening to Chaitanya Bhagavat recently, and it was past about Jagai and Madai. And this past time, it's like very vivid in my mind because we did one play on it at Wellington, and I was playing Madai, I was playing Jagai, and yeah, these other two devotees were playing Lord and Lord Chaitanya. So I remember that I know this pastime, like doing plays on pastimes is very nice because it creates a samskar in the mind for that particular play, and really like yeah, kind of sets in the heart. So I remember playing this pastime, and when I was listening to the narration of this Chaitanya Bhagavatam, which was very sweet, and yeah, I remember when I was playing Maya on this play, picking up like some sort of object and like throwing it at this devotee who was playing Lord Nityananda, acting out the whole scene, and then hearing it in the pastime, and then hearing how Lord Chaitanya says like, embraces Jagai, gives him spiritual ecstasy, gives him understanding of the entire spiritual, like totally purifies a lot of material sins, and then how Lord Nityananda embraces Madai, and they both become like devotees after that. They are allowed to enter into the kirtans at Srinivasacharya's house, which are like closed doors environments. And these people were like killing cows and raping women and like, stealing from brahmanas, like killing brahmanas, like they were doing like horrendous things that even today would like solitary confinement for years. So they were not nice people, and still like Lord Krishna made it so easy. Like Lord Chaitanya gave them the chanting of Krishna, which is like directly associated with Krishna. So yeah, I thought that was really sweet. And then I just wanted to read a little bit of Krishna book. There's this really nice pastime. I guess chapter 31. Um, and it talks about the gopis, how they hear the perfection of hearing the Mahamantra and how it can be heard in different ways. Sounds like gopi. Yes. Yeah, okay. It's like one of my favorite chapters in Krishna. It's really sweet. Of course, in every chapter Krishna looks like. Okay, so there's this part in this chapter. It's really nice. Anyways, it's if I can't find it, I'll just remember. But it's talking about Krishna's. Um, really. But anyways, it's the song of Krishna's. I can't find the chapter now, but regardless, so it's describing how the gopis are everyone Krishna's playing his flute, and the sound of Krishna's flute is like basically putting all of the residents in Vrindavan into like a state of ecstasy where they become like frozen. And it's describing how like the cuckoo birds in the trees, they hear the sound of Krishna's flute and they just like stop singing and they just become like stuck, like just like they're in ecstasy. And then the cows become like, they become still. Everyone's just like listening, like very attentively, and everything just becomes very quiet about it. The bees stop humming, and the cows become struck with ecstasy. And it's described how their ears like fold back, like try and absorb the sound. Just like you can see the cows here when you're like petting them and scratching them, they're like very pleased, and their ears kind of fold back so they can hear clearly. and how the cows are like sucking the milk from their mother's udders, but because they're like struck with ecstasy, their like throats are choking up, and the milk is just like flowing from their mouths out. And then the gopis, they describe how um, how these yogis are kind of struck with ecstasy, and they're like shedding tears, like the gods are like crying. They're listening to the sound of Krishna. And then one gopi says how it's actually the perfection of the light uh, to shed tears when hearing Krishna's name, or it's the perfection of the light to shed tears for Krishna. I can't remember exactly. And then another gopi says that it's the perfection of the eyes to see Krishna and Balaram entering the Vrindavan forest, like carrying food in hand, and like decorating. So, anyways, yeah, this chapter is really nice because it's like describing how, yeah, these very intimate, sweet pastimes with Krishna are actually like so attractive to hear about. And we heard about like the, how Kali Yuga is gonna go, and it's like kind of interesting, but in like a horror movie kind of way. Like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen. Um, like, yeah, even with the way things are progressing in our society, uh, seeing how like, yeah, the way that things are going, um, who's running the world, who's running the country. I'm like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen. Like, this is interesting. But knowing that actually doesn't matter what happens because the result is, as we hear in Srimad Bhagavatam, it's going to be like this. This is how the world's going to go. So if we're intelligent and we take shelter from Krishna, that's like, become attracted to Krishna from reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna book, Nectar Devotion, have tears every time. And then, yeah, take on Chaitanya's instructions of chanting the holy name as a source of deliverance to worlds associated with Krishna. Yeah, all right, so I'll stop there. It's 53. What did you read? If anybody has any corrections or comments, I'd like to share. Share anything? Mhm. I'm just seeing if I can find this part in Krishna book. It's really nice. Oh, here we go. Sorry, so chapter 21, the gopis attracted by the food. I knew that's makes sense. All right, I'll just read this a little bit because I got 5 minutes. Comments. So another gopi said, "My dear friends, the cows are also charmed. The cows are also charmed. Um, as soon as they hear the transcendental sound of the flute of Krishna, it sounds to them like the pouring of nectar, and they immediately spread their long ears just to catch the liquid nectar of the flute. As for the calves, they are seen with the nipples of their mothers pressed in their mouths. They cannot suck the milk. They remain struck with devotion, and tears glide down from their eyes, illustrating vividly how they are embracing Krishna heart to heart. The phenomenon indicate that even the cows and calves of Vrindavan knew how to cry for Krishna and embrace him heart to heart. Actually, the perfection in Krishna consciousness can be culminated in the shedding of tears from eyes. That's really nice. Like, yeah, how we're trying when we're trying to chant, we're trying to embrace Krishna heart to heart, like trying to really hear the mantra and like the mood of separation. Yeah, these cows can do this. Krishna. Yeah, very encouraging. And there's another bit here. Through that chapter 20, chapter 21, the book is attracting back the flute. All right, if everyone has anything to add, I think we can stop there. Here, Kanchaj, Bhagavatam ki jai, and Gaudiya Vaishnava ki jai, the Gaudiya ki jai.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada Jaya. I cannot see. I hope you see the picture. There's nothing. Usually I see.
It is good.
Yeah? Okay. Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kati Sadma Bandamui Savajana Mate Anama Mate Jaya Sadeva Devavatori Jaya Krishna Prapti Hoja Ante Krishna Prapti Hoja Ante Krishna Prapti Hoja Krishna Prapti Hoja Hey Guru Mata Bhagavatam Asha Hana Hare Asha Kirti Tete Utama Daki Egoisha Ramanati Etserita Yati Nikkade Purusara Soya Viprasade Purusara Acha Devatara Pure Pura Shara Viprasade Pure Sarvamisha Yakudana Ilage Kamidamatane Tine Yakudana Ilage Kamidamatane Divyagami Prema Bhakti Jayate Avijayate Prema Bhakti Jayate Avijayate Hare Jaya Charita Hare Jaya Charita Shri Guru Karana Kundu Madhavajana Shri Guru Karana Kundu Lokanat Makara Jivana Lokanat Makara Jivana Prabhu Kuradaya Hamare Padachana Prabhu Kuradaya Hamare Padachana Evidence Vishnu Divana Evidence Vishnu Divana Prabhu Kuradaya Shiva Prabhupada Patita Paramana Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pushtaya Uttamaya Srimati Bhakti Yoga Vasaya Srimad Namaste Gauravani Acharya Nivishe Shurabhani Aksakavachitari Vidyatavara Shriram Prabhu Yadvaitam Yarana Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavindam Yadvaitam Gopule Brajamanam Yashoda Beyoloka Ladavamanam Param Vishnavatya Tulashya Gopyaya Udam Samuneta Imam Sam Param Bhujayuvena Satankametram No Shvastakam Patrirakapa Sita Devam Damodaram Nityanam Ichi Diksvali Ladhirananda Kunde Swagoshami Majantama Kepayantam Tadiya Shita Gesha Bhakta Titatvam Puna Prematasta Shata Vritivande Varam Deva Moksham Moksham Adimva Kumachan Malaya Vari Sudhapiya Siddham Kevalam Palavayam Swadam Manasya Virastam Kimanye Nagam Shimukam Bojam Makam Tamilan Ritam Funjalai Snigdara Kichagopya Muchum Vitam Vimbarakadarame Kvanasya Virastam Salam Yachanabhai Namo Devada Moda Vivanta Vishnu Kasida Prabodha Gadi Gandhimada Vipadrishti Vishate Dinambatanam Kriyanisha Mama Gyame Dakshidrisha Kuvedatmaja Bhaga Vitayvayadva Tvaya Manshirita Bhakti Vajapitachara Kata Prema Bhaktim Swakame Prayacha Namo Kshidraho Mesira Madharuha Namaste Namaste Sindhaya Tvariya Garaya Savishmudamaya Namo Radhikaya Tvariya Priyaya Namo Nanta Vilaya Vilaya Namo Radhikaya Tvariya Priyaya Namo Nanta Vilaya Vilaya Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Srimad Thank you very much for attending morning program. Hare Krishna. Dr. Prabhu, I sent you the message on Telegram yesterday. Please check it. Hare Krishna. Jai Vishnu Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharyavastarasya